Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. It is December 27th, 2017. This is Scott from Planet X News, and I am joined this evening with Dr. Claudia Albers. Dr. Albers, how are you this evening?
I'm very well, thank you, Scott. And how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope each and every one of you had a very, very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. And as many of you know, I constantly monitor the Solar Dynamics Observatory, what we refer to as the SDO. And I monitor it every single day and usually several times a day. We've captured our Planet X object many, many times from this spacecraft. And today, as I was going over some of the 48-hour loop, the 48-hour footage that they give us, I discovered once again this massive object. And this time, it wasn't alone. Mm-hmm. We now have two objects at the same time, once again confirming that Planet X is not alone in this mysterious orbit around our sun. Also creating situations with our sun, such as the coronal mass ejections, the massive coronal holes, large filaments, plasma loops. Now, all of these things are normal to our sun, but over the course of the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, we've seen an increase in all of this solar activity. There will be other scientists out there that will just say simply everything is normal. But in fact, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing normal about it. But whenever I was reviewing the footage today, and it takes a little bit of time for them to, NASA to get the footage uploaded. They probably most definitely go over the footage and, they try to make sure that there's nothing there that we shouldn't see, or they blur it. Well, they kind of did that today. The footage and the photographs that we're going to show you are coming from December 25th, Christmas Day. As the universal time clock turned to midnight on December 25th, 2017, a very, very large object started to appear in the sun's corona. I've seen this many, many times. We've made this discovery many times before. But this time, we are actually able to see the surface of this Planet X object. Now, whenever I recorded the video footage and the still photographs, I immediately started working on turning all of these into the highest definition photographs that I can possibly give to all of you. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many people out there that maybe just don't believe that this is happening or that it can happen. And if you've been following my channel for some time now, you know that myself and Dr. Albers, we have made tremendous discoveries in proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is a new member in our solar system. And based on all of the evidence that we've acquired over this period of time, it's proving to us that Planet X might just be here to stay. We may not see its exodus in our lifetimes. Science is basically telling us that these two stars, our sun and this stellar core, which at one point in time was a star as we perceive it. Now we believe that we're just looking at the remnants of this star, the core, the middle of this star. Objects like this, ladies and gentlemen, they will attract each other. And Dr. Albers has gone over this many, many times, trying to explain this attraction between these types of objects and also the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
But what we've captured today really, really blew my mind. And whenever I showed the photographs to Dr. Albers, it was a jaw-dropping moment for her also.
Yes.
Because on these photographs, as I zoomed in, we were actually able to see the surface of this larger object. Craters, formations, absolutely outstanding. An outstanding day in Planet X research. Because once again, folks, you all know that there are people out there that are just in complete denial. They just cannot believe that something like this can occur. And yes, we have all of the debunkers out there that will, criticize and make their stupid videos and call myself and Dr. Albers liars and fear porn, fear mongers, and blah, blah, blah. But, that's not the case. We're simply two people that are investigating a matter, researching something. And the reason why we are doing that is because we feel that every human being on the face of this planet has the right to know about the potential dangers that could occur. And once again, folks, we are already seeing the effects of what is happening in our inner solar system. We are already seeing these massive increases in the earthquake activity. We see government agencies trying to hide the influx of earthquakes. The same thing applies to the volcanic activity. Going back a month ago, we were really, really under the gun with several volcanoes, just waiting for them to have massive eruptions. Now, some of these volcanoes were erupting. That was probably a good thing, releasing some pressure, therefore sparing some of these regions of the South Pacific and Indonesia. So we've seen all of these things playing out. Once again, we've seen very weird things with our weather worldwide. It's just not one isolated area. It's happening everywhere. And I guess these are going to be things that, well, we're just going to have to get used to. We're also going to have to keep on digging and digging and digging for more information, more findings, because we never know what one day is going to give us. The world has always been a dangerous place. But I believe in this upcoming year, we're probably going to see our world become much more dangerous. Scientists are already throwing out their little clues about 2018 becoming, a catastrophic year related to earthquakes. You know, how would they actually know that? Okay, we know that you can't predict earthquakes. However, Dutch Sins does a fantastic job in his forecasting of earthquakes. He doesn't use the word predict, he forecasts them. Does a great job. Dutch was actually on a live stream earlier today with a legitimate complaint about the USGS not reporting substantial earthquakes on the west coast of California, the west coast of the United States. So, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that, these powers that be, the people that run YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, we all know that they have their abilities to, kind of slow information down, kind of block information. But, something that's so critical as reporting earthquake activity by a government agency, just withholding the information is just damn wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But see, folks, this is what we're facing. We all have to realize that we need to continue to share this information. Share it. Post the links on your Facebook page, on your Twitter. It's very, very important. Since we started up the website, we're now reaching people in over 40 countries compared to several months ago when we were only reaching people in 6 countries. See, that's a big deal because more and more people are now waking up. They're now understanding the root cause of what is happening here on our planet. And there are so many other factors out there. A lot of talk about, aliens. A lot of this information has been coming out over the course of the last several weeks. A lot of talk about the deep state. A lot of talk about the secret space program, and we're going to be getting into a lot of that in this upcoming year of 2018, because we feel that all of it is related, and it probably is. Dr. Albers is going to be, digging into some of this information, and we actually have our feelers out there, and we're trying to get in contact with a few very, very important individuals, and we're trying to get some help on a few subjects. And hopefully these individuals step to the plate and help us out. I think they most definitely will. But getting into these photographs, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. They are absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick.
Yeah.
Now, this is just a set of the first object that we're going to be taking a look at. And this is all coming from the SDO. This is kind of below the center of the sun, or the equatorial or the equator region of the sun. And I'll tell you the truth, folks, I almost missed this object because the SDO footage was just so blurry. I think they're starting to do that on purpose. But, I was able to convert the 48-hour loop into high definition, which allows me to see things more clearly, naturally. So as I was viewing this piece of footage, and this is from Christmas Day,
Mm.
a little bit after midnight, going into December 25th. No coronal mass ejections, nothing crazy, nothing wild going on the sun. It's been actually kind of calm in that aspect. But lo and behold, I look down, I see something that kind of just looks out of place. And most definitely, it was out of place.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're looking at here is a sphere that is actually striped. And these are just different filters that Dr. Albers and I, we were working with these photographs earlier this morning. And lo and behold, here you go. And you can see that this object is well within the sun's corona, and it is making contact, basically almost like a plasma connection. Or Dr. Albers, you want to touch on that? You want to explain a little bit more about that?
Well, yes, this is, when I saw this, it was unbelievable, because first of all, you can see stripes on the object. And that means that no one can say, oh, it's just some piece of the coronal plasma. It's not at all. This is an object that is striped. So like the blue stellar core that you first photographed, this object has stripes as well. And you can actually see part of the corona going out from the surface of the sun, going to meet the object and enveloping it. And this is what we've been saying for a while, that these objects go into the sun's corona, they connect to the sun, and it's a magnetic connection. So the plasma particles are moving along magnetic field lines. And these objects are making magnetic connections with the sun. And they are actually absorbing plasma from the sun through these connections. And this is exactly what we see here. You see strands of plasma coming from the surface of the sun towards the object, like fingers grabbing onto it. You can even see some of them seem to make a cross pattern there. This is what I call, Scott, irrefutable evidence as to what is there in the sun's corona, how these objects go in the sun's corona and connect to the sun. And remember, once again, even though the object is striped, it is not a planet. A planet would not survive the temperature in the corona. This is what we've been calling stellar cores. I initially called it the brown dwarf star. These are stars. They are old, burnt out stars. They have very little layers of material that stars have, because this was once a main sequence star like the sun is at the moment still. But they have very little of these layers of material. I don't even call it gas anymore, because I've realized that this material is not in the gaseous phase. It's actually a sort of a solid, semi-liquid or very thick liquids, almost like putty material they seem to have attached to the solid core, and it's a thin layer, and they then are in the striped form, and the striped form is because of the magnetic field, the symmetry of the magnetic field, which always makes these objects and the material on them adhere according to along the equator, and therefore making stripes. And this is what we see here. We can actually see the stripes wrapping around a spherical surface. They follow a spherical surface as if following the contours. So we can specifically say this is definitely a spherical object with stripes around, contouring around this spherical object. It's absolutely amazing. I think this is the most wonderful evidence you and I have seen coming from these SDO images.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, we've been capturing a lot on the cactus coronagraph, But see, ladies and gentlemen, that cactus coronagraph, it's inverted, it's in a grayscale, and the frames of footage that are put together to create the time-lapse video are so far apart. We do our best to capture this object in these CMEs. But this evidence today, this was just bone crushing once again. And whenever we were looking at this photograph, I mean, it immediately reminded me of Jupiter because of its stripes. And I don't know if any of you can see it. I'll zoom in here a little bit, but let me back off a little bit. But you can see the very, very detailed stripes of this object.
Yes.
And there is one darker blemish of some kind, about right here. As you pan back a little bit, you can see it. We'll just move up to one of the other photographs here.
It's so clear, those stripes. It's just amazing.
Yeah, we'll move over to this photograph. And this gives you a little bit more of a better perspective. You could see the markings on this object. Now, this one seems to be smaller than the massive object that I'm going to show you here very shortly.
Yeah.
And this massive object, this is the one that we normally see all of the time. But this time, on Christmas Day, we were actually given a present.
Yes.
And we're going to be able to see some of the surface structure on this object, proving that, it's not this gaseous body. It's a solid object. And it's probably been around for billions of years. And it's probably interacted with many, many other objects outside of our solar system.
Yeah.
We'll go up to this photograph here. And this is just another filter. And this bright box that you see around here, this allows me to basically enlighten an object to show you more clearly. But whenever you look at it, you think to yourself, wow, okay, that's definitely there.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Now, this object, this is the larger object. And again, folks, this is all on the same day. And, I've been trying and searching for the opportunity to see more than one object at one time. December 25th, 2017 was that day. Now, this object, this much, much larger object, was to the upper right-hand corner of the sun. It was about, I'd say between the 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock position. The other object that I was just showing you here, this is just slightly below the equator or the equatorial region of the sun. So today, that was showing me beyond a shadow of a doubt that Planet X definitely has at least one partner, a smaller object that is able to survive this close to the sun. And ladies and gentlemen, I was asking Dr. Albers today, how far are the outreaches of the sun's corona? And it differs at times, and it's probably very hard to calculate or even know about. But today, we were able to discover not only this large object, but the smaller one. And again, these are just a couple of filters that I've added so we can get a better view of what we're looking at.
Mm.
Now we're going to get into this larger object.
Yeah.
And it may seem a little blurry to you, but this was the highest definition. And, you know, I had to zoom in. And whenever I zoomed in, I was not expecting to see any type of surface structure, craters, things of that nature. But as we zoom in, we could start to see
Yes.
what looks to be somewhat of a surface.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that clear in this photograph. But as we move to the original coloration of this composite image from the SDO,
Mm-hmm.
you could start to see,
Yes.
oh boy,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually start to see very well defined ridges. And what really caught my eye
Mm-hmm.
was what seems to be, you know, a massive crater, an indentation, something
Yes.
of the nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that right there, folks, I mean, you know, what are you going to say? That's a camera anomaly? What? That's a camera artifact? I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, leave all of that crap at the door. You know, it's not going to fly.
Yeah.
We know it's there. We have the evidence. And this is pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was very exciting.
Yes.
At one point, you know, and at the other point, it's quite startling because now you know for yourself, meaning me and Dr. Albers. I mean, we definitely know now that this is a very massive object. It is solid.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go to the next photograph here. And this was in a green filter that I placed it in. And you can see the surface even more.
That's right. Wow.
Looks kind of like a big football shape of a crater.
Yes.
But you could also see other smaller craters. You could actually see the surface.
Mm.
It almost looks to me like it's like either been melted, like melted rock or whatever. I was noticing all of these ridges throughout the photograph. The more and more I analyzed it, I was just trying to make sure that it just wasn't the coloration of the photograph. But as you know, as we zoomed in more and more and more, we could see, yeah, that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case at all. And that's definitely like a crater of some kind.
Yes.
I mean, that crater would probably have to be the size of Earth.
Mm. Yeah.
So even looking at the photograph from, you know, just like it is on your screen, I mean, I'm sure that all of you can see the surface structure on this object and how massive it is. I mean, it's kind of beyond belief.
Mm-hmm.
But as they say, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about this photograph, Dr. Albers?
Yeah, again, Scott, this is absolutely amazing because we're not used to seeing this kind of surface feature, these kinds of details on these objects in the SDO images, because as you said, they probably blur them on purpose so we don't see them. But you can see everything else around in the image is so blurred, and yet these surface features on this object are obvious because they are edged in thin lines. We can see the outline of these surface features. And what it does is it brings back to my memory when you first photographed the blue stellar core, and how I was so fascinated with the surface of the object, how it had all this material adhering to the core, the solid core of the object. And now, and basically, I've reached the conclusion that the sun has the same sort of material, and sometimes we see some type of, the sun gets blemishes. And this is what I see here, because these objects are stars as well, made out of the same sort of material, but just a very thin layer. And so when they interact with the sun, we can expect them to get blemishes, which would look somewhat like a crater. And this is what we see here. And we can see the edge of it. We can see it looks like an indentation. And it looks like, as you said, there are ridges and layers of material, one over the other, forming these ridges. And all this is, as I said before, these materials they come to the sun with these materials, they shed some of the material, they gather new material from the sun, and you can see that there's a round shape around that little crater. And we've seen in some of the photographs, it looks almost brighter. And I've explained as well how these objects rejuvenate and they start emitting light from a small round surface region. And then this light emission from the surface of the object spreads from that region. And we're seeing all this here. So to me, this is absolutely fascinating. And again, it's irrefutable evidence once again. This is not a hole in the corona of the sun. This is an object inside the sun's corona. And these objects are very, very close to the surface of the sun. This is the only way we would be able to see it. If they were further back, they would be covered by too much corona. We wouldn't be able to see them. They have to be right on the edge and very close to the surface of the sun. And as I said before, they are connecting to the sun. We always see plasma coming from the surface of the sun and going out like fingers, as we see here, enveloping these objects and forming a circular cocoon around them. But this is just like, again, irrefutable evidence that we have solid objects in the sun's corona. They cannot be planets. Planets would not stay as a solid object in there. They would be vaporized because the sun's corona is at 2 million degrees Kelvin. So these are, and they are, as you said earlier, Scott, they are thriving. They love it. They enjoy being in this environment because they are stars. They come to the sun to rejuvenate. And eventually they are able to emit light once again because of being in the sun's corona and absorbing energy from the sun. And that's also why the sun has become weaker over the years, and especially recently. But at the same time, it has become more dangerous because these objects, they provoke the sun, they pull on the sun's surface plasma through their magnetic connection, and they can cause great disruptions and energetic events on the sun, like huge CMEs. So, and I think especially when they are newly arrived objects at the sun, we may get some huge kind of event from the sun because of them. So they are dangerous, but at the same time, the sun is weakening because they are absorbing the sun's energy. Yes, and in this video, it's just amazing how you see as the sun rotates, you can actually see the connection from the surface of the sun towards the object and how the plasma dances around the object, the whole thing, how it's connecting, how it's becoming a part of the sun. And you can see these objects are attracted to the sun. That's why we don't think they will ever leave, because they are so attracted to the sun. They absorbing this energy. They've become a part of the sun now, and I don't think they will ever leave.
Yeah, I mean just science, just basic science in this field. Knowing about the magnetic energy of the sun, the magnetic fields of this object, they're basically, I feel that they're bonded together. Now, what you're actually looking at now, ladies and gentlemen, is you're looking at the SDO 48-hour loop footage, and I had to slow this down considerably in order for us to see what we're seeing. Now, it may be a little blurry to you in this footage because I have it zoomed in, but as the sun is rotating from the left to the right in this footage, this object is appearing, and as the time lapse over the course of 48 hours, everything is moving. So therefore, you're going to see it appear as you see it here. And as it fades back behind the sun, and the sun rotates, and the Earth is orbiting the sun, everything is in constant movement. You're going to see it fade away. Now, whenever I was looking at this, and I was waiting for the dates of the 25th and the 26th to come up on the Solar Dynamics Observatory. And, whenever I saw the update come through, started analyzing it very carefully. And whenever I do that, I go from 1 inch of the sun to the other. I mean, close-up views, I search everything for that possibility of capturing this object. And sure enough, I noticed something was just not looking right at this, about this 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock position. And then I decided, okay, let's zoom in on this. Let's see, let's see what this is. Now, like I said, I had to take the 48-hour loop, the original footage, and I had to convert everything to a higher definition in order to really, really get a good look at this. Because they do have the ability to decrease the resolution, what they show the general public, me and you. And once I slowed it down and I was able to stop it and catch some still photographs from within these frames, there it was. There it was. And within some of those still photographs, once we started to examine those even more, well, that's when we were able to zoom in and see that surface structure, that crater. The photographs are absolutely amazing. And folks, some of you may think, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, I don't see anything there. Listen, as much research and investigations that Dr. Albers and I do, and as many photographs that we look at, that was a big find. Today was one of the biggest finds, one of the biggest discoveries that we've made this year of 2017. I think that we've really, really, gone far into proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that, there's something going on in our inner solar system. There is something going on out there near our sun. We know what it is. I think that we have proven that it is there, that the mythological planet X definitely exists. And we now know that there are other objects with this massive structure, this massive sphere that's out there. How many? I couldn't tell you. But we know that there are at least 2, maybe 3 smaller bodies. But whenever I saw this today, and I worked on the video and worked on getting the still photographs, but whenever I zoomed into those still photographs and wow, I saw that large crater type object on the surface, whatever it is, that blew me away. I mean, that was pretty incredible. So we can see as the SDO footage, goes through its timeline from the 25th, the 26th, into the beginning of today, we can see the sun is rotating, and this object is rotating with the sun. It is rotating with the sun. Just like we've said before, the timeline that I've mentioned many times before, in an ordinary calendar period of 30 days, we're going to see this object for probably maybe 2 weeks out of every month. We're going to be able to capture this object during a coronal mass ejection or periods like this, when the SDO craft is in the right place at the right time, the Earth is in the right place at the right time, and bingo, on Christmas Day, this is what was occurring out there near our sun. It's just an absolutely incredible find once again. And that's what we're here. We're here to prove to everyone that this is occurring. This has occurred. These objects are here. And I believe wholeheartedly that they're here to stay. They're here to stay. You know, one thing that really drives me crazy is I want to know when they got here. I don't think we'll ever know that for sure. We've tried to go back in time and, check out, those events from 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We know that it's been here for quite a while. The evidence was kind of spilling out little by little. And, through some other factions, it gets shut down. People get discouraged or they get threatened in some way. But today's information, today's find, that dates to the 25th, Christmas Day, well, that was my Christmas present right there. Knowing it's there and seeing that surface from all of this distance away. They say we're 93 million miles away from the sun. The SDO spacecraft picks this up. We're able to capture it. We're able to analyze it. And that's what we came up with. Today was a big, big find. Absolutely no doubt. There may be some people that will say, oh, that's one of those coronal prominences. I'm sorry, but you are absolutely dead wrong. This does not look like a coronal prominence in any shape or the form. And a coronal prominence is not going to have any type of a surface structure because it's not solid. Pretty breathtaking. Pretty breathtaking.
Mm-hmm. It is indeed.
I'm going to go back to
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of these. Oops.
Yeah, it's irrefutable evidence, Scott. Amazing.
Yeah, then when you get to this, I mean, when you get back to this picture,
yes,
you know, you're just like, wow. All righty then.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I first looked at this and I started zooming in, I'm like, wow, that looks like the moon. You know, with craters and the surface.
Yeah. It's
amazing.
Absolutely amazing. Unbelievable that we got this sort of evidence. Yeah. At Christmas.
Yeah, and I know for, you know, I know for some people that, you know, you may be in disbelief or you may not believe and you may not even care. But eventually, ladies and gentlemen, you know, the earth is under so much stress right now. I had a gentleman email me a piece of video footage from Colombia from a few days ago. And there's a lot of earth movement going on in different areas of our planet. A lot of it is probably going unreported. And, you know, I'll share the video footage with you. Let me just get out of here real quick. Do. This video footage is coming out of Colombia. And this gentleman was literally standing on the lower portion of a mountainside. And I hope that all of you can hear this. I'm not sure if you're able to hear the cracking and the crunching as soon as I start to play this. We're using the Google Hangout feature so for the live stream. So I'm not sure if you're able to actually hear the cracking and the crunching. But this is just not your little ordinary landslide. This is just everything further from a landslide. I mean, this is, you're hearing the ground crack and crunch. And this guy was very brave to be in the position where he was to videotape this. So let's just go ahead and show it.
Wow. My goodness.
You know, folks, whenever you take a look at this, oops, let me just get to a point here.
There has to be some shaking going on for this to be happening, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, not, you know, what I was thinking, Dr. Albers, maybe not necessarily shaking,
Yes.
but possible uplift.
Uh-huh.
Because the way that it sounds,
Mm.
you know, usually in a landslide, things just come down.
Yes.
You really don't hear the long-term cracking and crunching. Just the whole damn hillside comes down.
Mm.
But you could see a lot of this is like solid rock.
Yes.
And then, you know, I mean, in this portion of the video, I mean, you see all of this came down. You see a massive, this is solid rock.
Yes.
Look what it's done to it. It's ripped it in half.
Yes.
And then as you go through other portions of the video, at this point, I'm sorry, it's a little blurry because I just stopped it. But he hears something behind him. And what he hears behind him is this plateau of land.
Yes.
Cracking and crunching, and then this area starts to fall. This guy's pretty brave to be standing here and videotaping this with a cell phone. I mean, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Because at any given time, anything could happen in this type of moment. But listening to this and then watching it and then seeing the different areas, I mean, this is, you wouldn't think that this area up here would be involved with what just happened down on the road. But yet you'll see things starting to occur.
Yes.
Land falling off.
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't have stood there.
Does look dangerous. Amazing. Yeah.
I mean, that's that's a lot of debris falling. I mean, that's a very dangerous situation. And folks, that just occurred in Colombia just maybe 48 hours ago. You know, so we you know, we come to the point where we know a lot of information's not hitting mainstream media. If it wasn't for, you know, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, we probably wouldn't have a lot of this information. But watching that and listening to it, that cracking and that crunching and those loud sounds, it just doesn't sound like your typical little landslide. It actually sounds like the portion of Earth is just literally moving. It's either moving upwards, something was occurring there. And I'm trying to get an updated video of that area to see what happened afterwards. Did more of that hillside come down? Was there more movement? And the thing that gets me is I started looking for earthquake activity in that specific area of Colombia. Let me pull one thing up here real quick. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen real quick. So we have the earthquake map right now. I mean, this is live. This is what we're looking at. And in Colombia, no earthquakes showing. Nothing.
Yeah.
And you can see this region all through here. Very, very mountainous. Matter of fact, let's click on the satellite. So you can see this is a very, very mountainous region. all through here, stretches all the way down. But no earthquake. So are they just not reporting it? Do they not have seismic devices in this area? Who knows? But all I know is in that video from a few days ago, the Earth was moving substantially.
Yes.
Now we can see what's happening right here, again, on the west coast of California. A magnitude 3.38, 62 minutes ago. A lot of activity right along the San Andreas Fault. All along through here. It's been very, very active for the last couple of weeks. Nicaragua, more in Central America, Tajikistan, Iran. There were a couple of very, very deep earthquakes too. Let's see if we could find them. This was over in, what is this, Guam. 5.5, 4.5 in the Philippines. These are all very shallow quakes. Now this one's a little deeper here in the Banda Sea, 254 kilometers deep. Papua New Guinea, 160 kilometers deep. 244 or 245 kilometers deep. I know there was a deeper one. It's 192 kilometers deep. I know there was one that it's probably not on here anymore. It was about 564 kilometers deep. But again, you're seeing some, weird earthquakes going on over here in Australia. Small, but they're earthquakes. What's alarming is what's happening on the west coast of the United States. And you can see a very distinct pattern right here in Alaska. I mean, look at that. That's a straight line swarm of earthquakes.
Yes.
A magnitude 3.8. These are all very shallow. Very shallow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what our earthquake map looks like. That's what's shaking in our, in our planet right now. Pecos, Texas, magnitude 2.6.
Mm-hmm.
Over here in the Caribbean, what's happening over there off the coast of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic? Less than a magnitude 3. So there's a little shaking going on Mother Earth.
Yes.
And there's probably a whole lot that they're not reporting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what are you going to do, folks? We are at their mercy, at the mercy of their technology, and at the mercy of their reporting. So if they don't report it, we don't know about it. But, thank God for people like Dutch Sins and Dr. Albers, myself, and many, many, many other truthers out there that are putting themselves out there to keep each and every one of you informed. And one thing that I do want to say, throughout this year of 2017, I have seen more and more and more people waking up, learning, and understanding what's happening. That's always been my main goal, is to help all of you understand what's going on. And I've noticed over this year that literally tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people have stepped up and publicized and are keeping track of what's going on. And the more we publicize it, the more eyes that are going to be opened. And that's great. That's what we're here to do. Make everyone realize what is happening. To me, it's a big deal. And the response from people around the world has been tremendous this year. And ladies and gentlemen, this was a rough year of being trolled by these scumbags, trying to take down the books that Dr. Albers has written, trying to take down the YouTube channels, fighting with YouTube, fighting with Facebook, fighting with Twitter, fighting with the powers that be. It's a constant battle. So we've gotten through 2017. We've seen all kinds of things happen. But we still have big problems. Not only with our Earth, but with world leaders, world governments, the deep state, the secret space program. I mean, in the past, maybe 100 years? Let's just look at the past 50 years. We've lost control of our planet. Lord only knows who actually has control over it. It seems like a bunch of nutcases. But we're going to be digging into more and more of that in the very near future. As soon as we roll off into 2018. Dr. Albers, you have anything else to add on this subject matter here?
As usual, I'd like to, end with saying something about our Creator. But first of all, I'd like to say that this was just amazing evidence, irrefutable evidence. And we have been getting better and better evidence as we've gone along 2017. And what we end with here, Scott, I think, as I said, it's absolutely amazing. The fact that we can see surface features, the fact that we can see stripes on these objects, and in these SDO images where it's usually so hard to even pick them out. So this, I think, was absolutely amazing and a gift from God, I believe, to us and all the people who are interested in knowing the truth. And, and as usual, I'd like to say that we are living in difficult times. Things are not likely to get better. And the best advice I can give people is get to know our Creator, develop a relationship with Him, because He is the only one who can help us. There comes a time where you need to be spiritually strong to cope with what is around you. And that means making a spiritual connection with our Creator and getting to know Him and developing a relationship with Him. And that is the best advice I can give people. So,
once again, I agree. I agree 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to keep on plugging away. I ask that all of you, make sure you share our videos with your friends, your family members on Facebook and on Twitter. You don't realize that each and every time you share that video or the photographs or articles from our Planet X News website, you're touching someone, and someone's going to read that information and you're going to open their eyes. So, each and every one of us now, we have an obligation. It's just not you sitting back watching a live stream or watching a video on YouTube. You are now deeply involved in this truth movement. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's where you're at. You may not be a hardcore investigator or researcher. You may just not even have the time to do what we try to do. But when you share the videos and you share the photographs and you share the articles from the website, you are doing a huge part in spreading the word around the world. And this year of 2017, we have seen that extension, that network around the world increase. And you know, it's really pissing some people off. But guess what? That's just too damn bad. We have a right to know what is happening on our planet. We, as human beings, the human race, we have the right to know. And I'm going to leave it at that. I am going to post all of the photographs in an article on our Planet X News website. I will also post the photographs on the Facebook page. You guys are free to share those photographs. Like I've always asked before, just don't misrepresent the photographs and the information. That's it. But the more and more people that see what you're seeing today, you will make believers out of them. And in the long run, the more people that know what's happening, the better off we're going to be. But we still have massive, massive hurdles to overcome. A lot of them are related with our governments, our countries, and we're seeing all of that play out right now. And before it gets better, folks, it is going to get worse. But we have to have faith, like Dr. Albers expresses, having that inner faith, having that belief, that will give you the inner strength. And also, remember, knowledge is power. Like I always say, the more you know, the better off you're going to be. And remember, they want to take that knowledge away from you. And we just cannot sit back and let that happen. I'd like to thank everybody also who sent absolutely beautiful emails wishing Dr. Albers and I a happy holiday and, a Merry Christmas. I wasn't able to answer all of the emails because there were so many coming in. I just wasn't able to answer them all. Thank you very, very much. Everybody enjoyed their holiday the best that you could. We're going to be rolling into the New Year's in a few days. And I wish that all of you be very, very safe. Enjoy the time with your friends and your family members. Take that time to relax if you can. But we're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. We're going to continue with our research. And everybody, please, this upcoming New Year's Eve, be careful. Be safe. This is Scott from Planet X News with Dr. Claudia Albers. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here with us tonight. I'd like to thank my moderators in our live chat. Hey, guys, thank you very, very much. And listen, folks, again, be safe out there on New Year's Eve. Take care. Good night.